The opening hours of a crisis oftentimes mean the difference between life and death. If you witness a car accident, those initial few minutes will determine the course of the victim's life. As you scale a crisis, those stakes seem to scale exponentially. Mike landed in a country at war with nature. Anyone who has witnessed the direct aftermath of a disaster can tell you the chaos is always the same. Panicked victims caked in dust and blood, eager rescuers rushing in, and a world shattered. In that opening moment, watching the crisis unfold, it feels impossible to visualize what comes next. The first 2 weeks of Pakistan went by in a blur. There were multiple briefings each day as information needed to be accurate up to the minute in order for Mike to make the right decisions. Military helicopters, days ago flying in combat missions, were now performing relief operations, and hundreds of personnel had to be trained on new procedures. Hospitals were built, outgrown, and expanded in hours. Then, of course, came the follow-on effects of the disaster. An earthquake is a strange experience. We generally take for granted that the ground will remain underfoot, so any change can throw equilibrium out the window. While the phenomenon lasts only seconds, the damage is often catastrophic and enduring, with aftershocks lasting up to 6 months after the event. The immediate chaos is bad, but natural disasters are more than just momentary distress. Roads are damaged, pipelines and infrastructure rendered unusable. This adds a new variable to the rescue and recovery efforts. It's not enough to find survivors. You need a means to transport them safely away from danger, and you need to support them until they are self-sustainable. When General Abizade met with Mike, he was in the middle of assessing resources. The initial chaos from the disaster had abated somewhat, leaving a wounded nation struggling to heal. As Mike prepared resources to help with the recovery, his team grew to 1,500 people on the ground, 2 field hospitals from the 212 MASH, or Mobile Army Surgical Hospital unit, and another set up by a Marine unit from Okinawa, U.S. helicopters from countries around the region, and tens of thousands of support staff around the globe supporting. This Joint Task Force and Combined Forces of Australia and NATO unit was pointed directly at the problem, but they would only be as effective as their leader. All of that pressure landed on Mike's shoulders. He was happy to see a familiar face when General Abizade arrived. CENTCOM oversaw 2 operational theaters of war, Iraq and Afghanistan. It was a monumental amount of responsibility, and the 4-star general had decades of experience maneuvering through any number of crises. Mike knew that any advice offered carried years of experience. He didn't expect the general's question. "What's your exit strategy?" Mike's first thought was a proper paraphrasing of Captain Lloyd Williams's iconic World War I quote, "We just got here." The past few weeks had been a swirl of assessing, reacting, and planning. The coalition force put out a few fires immediately with helicopters, aircraft, and strategic sea lift to do the initial triage. They were planning on hospitals, construction support, and resources to distribute humanitarian relief in the most rugged terrain in the world. The goal, as Mike saw it, was saving lives and providing humanitarian relief. Of course, the overall mission was to improve relations with Pakistan, but that would be an after effect of properly caring for its people and supporting a country in need. Mike knew that the United States military was unmatched in its ability to respond to a crisis. He had witnessed how quickly assets and personnel could arrive on site to effect positive change. What he hadn't thought about was what the end would look like and how to get there.